everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name's Amanda and in today's video I have some brand new water decals to share with you all. So yesterday Kiki London launched the King's Coronation limited edition water decals. There are 3 different sheets to choose from and they are super fun if you are wanting to create some coronation nails. So first up we have the British flag mix. I really love that you've got the black and white option here and I really love the bunting as well. Then we have the multi-crown mix. I think these are quite interesting because you will get more use out of these rather than just coronation nails. I'm really getting kind of like princess nail vibes out of this sheet. And then you have the black and white mix, which are full-on coronation, and I really love the details on some of the crowns in this and just the whole vibe to this mix. These were definitely my favorite of the 3. So these are available to purchase as a collection of 3, or you can also purchase them individually. But let's do some nails using them. So first up I'm going to show you guys the colours. I went for some truly British colours. So we've got coconut, blue navy, and then for my red I actually went for Persian plum. I originally chose Wild Heat, but then I decided to go for this one instead, and I'm really glad I did as I felt these 3 colours worked really well for the set I had in mind. So I'm coming straight in and applying my first layer of colour. If you was doing this on yourself or a client, you would do your prep and your base coat first and then come in with your colour, but because we're working on display tips, I'm just going to come straight in with my first coat of colour. Now coconut is a very pigmented white shade, so you want to make sure you're working with it nice and thin. It's very easy to think that you're applying it thin, but you are actually applying it too thick and then you might have trouble curing it. So because it's super pigmented, you do only need to apply 2 super thin coats, and that way you're going to get the nice pigmentation coming through without any curing issues. The same goes when you are working with black heart as well. Because it's a very pigmented color, it does only need to be applied thin so the light in your LED lamp can cure it without causing any wrinkling or bubbling. So I am just going to come in and apply a second coat. Personally, when I'm using coconut for things like nail art, I don't actually find it needs a second coat because it has that very strong pigmentation to it. But because we're using it as a base color, I would always recommend doing 2 thin coats. And how gorgeous does Persian plum look as well. I really love it against the bright white. I think they work really well together, so I'm glad I chose this one. When it comes to applying that second coat, I'm keeping it nice and thin. I'm working on fairly long nails, but so you do need a little bit more gel polish on your bottle brush, but I always like to wipe one side of my brush completely off and then just leave half the amount on the other side of the brush, and I find that this is a good amount to work with. Unless I'm working on super short nails, then I'll have even less on my brush. Once we've got that second coat of colour done, we're going to pop these in to cure for 30 seconds, and then that is our base done and ready for our nail art. Now, of course, in today's video, we are predominantly going to be using the new water decals, but we are also going to be using some foils, some blooming gel as well. So I hope you find it quite fun to watch. Now, I really liked this sheet the most. I liked this CR. I thought it was kind of a way of creating quite an elegant looking set of nails, but I did want this to have quite a bit of a fun vibe to it. I kind of had street party vibes in mind when I was thinking of this. So first of all, I'm going to cut the CR out from the black and white mix, and then I'm going to cut out one of the crowns from the multi-crown mix. Originally I was going to use one of the black crowns from the black and white mix, but I actually felt as though bringing in some of that yellow gold tones into the set would be a little bit more fun. Now, to apply my water decals, I like to use the stamper method. So first up, I have cut out those decals as close to the image as possible. This is going to minimize the amount of that clear backing sheet you have. And then I've placed it face down onto my stamper, and then using my angled nail art brush, I'm just brushing in a generous amount of water. You don't necessarily want to flood the water decal, but you want to make sure it's nicely moistened. Another recommended item I would have for water decal application is the silicone tool, because this smooths out any creases that you might have. Once that water is set in, you're able to easily remove that backing paper and then look through your stamper and press it down. I like to do a little rock from side to side, and as you can see, that has actually transferred seamlessly to the nail. So we're going to do the same again. Always place that image face down onto the stamper. I like to really brush on my water. And then whilst I'm waiting for the water to sink in to that decal, I just go over the previous decal with my silicone tool just to smooth out any creases there might be, and then make sure it has fully adhered to the nail. Doing the stamper method, I do find that you get very, very minimal creases, but I do still like to go over with my silicone tool just to make sure it is super, super smooth. And I personally don't think you can tell that a water decal has been used here because of how seamless it has applied. So that is actually that now finished. So we're going to pop that aside for now. And on to the next now, I want to take one of these Union Jack hearts. I really loved that they included the heart shapes in these because I feel as though you can get extra use out of these rather than just coronation nails. I kind of had football vibes in mind a little bit, and also when I placed this down on the nail, it really reminded me, it really gave me Spice Girl vibes. Now growing up I was a huge Spice Girl fan, so now I'm thinking I need to create some Spice Girl nails. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Of course, all these decals are predominantly for coronation nails, but I always like to think outside the box and think how else I can use them throughout the year. Because I don't work on clients, it's going to take me a while to use the whole sheet, and we've only got another week until the coronation. So I'm definitely trying to think outside the box of other ways you can also use the water decals. So here I had just pressed this down, and I had some little fluffy bits that had transferred from my stamper, so I was just wiping them off with a little bit of alcohol. Now I've applied this water decal the same way as the previous ones, but I want to do some nail art on top on this nail. So I'm actually going to seal my water decal in first. Now I'm sealing it in with the Kiki London top coat. This particular top coat leaves a tacky layer. Now I like to use this top coat when I'm doing any kind of layered nail art because the next layer of gel polish is going to stick nicely over the top because it's got a tacky layer to grab onto. So we are going to be doing a marble over the top. So I've popped that top coat into Cure. That's going to seal our water decal in. So if we make any mistakes with the marble or whatever nail art you're doing next and you need to wipe it off, you're going to be able to wipe it off without ruining your water decal. And that's just, it's personal preference, but I would highly recommend it. I do the same sometimes with stamping as well, or if I'm doing foils and I want to do something on top, it's always nice to seal that first layer in, just because then you know that you've got the confidence there that if you do make any mistakes, you can wipe it off. So then I'm going to apply my blooming gel over the top. So this is why I like that there's that tacky layer left behind from that particular top coat, because it's going to have something to grab onto with the blooming gel, and I feel as though it just cures everything nicely. You're not going to have any peeling issues and things like that. So I'm just going to apply a thin coat of this over the top. I've popped down the 3 colours that we've been using throughout this set on my palette. And then I'm going to take my Kiki London round nail art brush, and I just want to do some marbles coming around the edge of the nail. So I'm dotting on the Persian plum first of all. And I'm just taking a small amount. I don't want to add too much gel polish because we're not doing a huge marble. Then I'm going to come in, I cleaned off my brush, sorry, first of all, and then we've swapped to the coconut, and I'm just applying that next to where I've applied the Persian plum, cleaned off my brush again, and then we're going to do exactly the same again with the blue navy. And then this is already starting to bloom. So as you can see in that blooming gel, it's already starting to soften around the edges. The colours are starting to roll into each other. So this is where I'm going to take my dotting tool and just swirl those colours together to create a really cool marble effect. And here is where I was glad that I had sealed in my water decal, because what happens is my gel polish marble starts blooming over that water decal. So just come in with a little bit of alcohol on my angled nail art brush, and I'm just wiping that away because I don't want the marble to cover up the water decal. So if I hadn't sealed that water decal in with the top coat, it would have ended up breaking down when I was coming over the top of it with the alcohol. And then here I'm just coming back in with my dotting tool and just manipulating that marble where I wanted it to go. I didn't want to go all around the nail. I kind of wanted to just have these like little flares. It gave off the flag waving effect, which I really, really like. And I just really loved how this nail turned out. So once you are happy with how your marble is looking, how much it's bloomed, that's when you're going to pop it in to cure for 30 seconds. Now it does look a little bit uneven where I had to wipe into it with the angled nail art brush, but not to worry, this will smooth out when we apply our rubber top coat. On to the next nail, and I want to do some foils. So this is the only nail that I'm not applying any water decals to. So I'm going to come straight in with my foil gel over the top of that coconut. Just a thin coat. You don't want to apply this thickly because it doesn't need to be applied thickly. And we're then going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds. And then I noticed in these foils, they had the perfect blue and red for the colours I chose. So I also picked out gold as well. And I'm very, very lightly pressing these on because I want to cover the whole nail with foils and I want to use all three colours, but I want to make sure that there's like a splodge and splashes of all three of those colours. So just by applying them really lightly, you're going to get all three of the colours, but they're all going to be mixed into each other. And the end result kind of just looks like one full foil now, but having splashes of all of those colours. I was having a little bit of trouble with the blue one, so I did cut out another piece. I think what had happened is I'd got some tacky foil gel, like I'd had a little bit of foil gel on my gloves, and then when I picked up the blue foil, it transferred to the foil, so then the foil wasn't sticking because it was sticky, if that makes sense. So I had to cut out a fresh piece. But as you can see, I'm just keep coming back in with all three of the colours, keep pressing it on lightly, and it will transfer and create this really fun multi-tonal foiled look. I really, really love this. I think it's really fun to do. And I love that by tying in the gold on the first nail, it worked with the gold on this nail. So now we're going to move on to the next one. And on this one, I wanted to test two things. One, how easy it is to apply the larger size decals. And two, how these black decals would look over a red base, because it is recommended to apply your water decals over a lighter base to help make them pop. So I really wanted to give this a go. So with larger decals, I apply them exactly the same, but I will spend a little bit more time if needed to make sure I'm getting out any of the creases, because you're going over a larger area of the nail, especially if you're working on longer nails, you're going to have the apex to contend with and the curve of the nail. So what I've done is I'm really taking the firmer side of my silicone tool. I'm really pushing out any creases as it goes over the curve of the nail. And I was really impressed with how easy they was to smooth out, but I was also really impressed with how well the black still popped over the red base. So I'm definitely going to play around with some of the black decals over different colours, because I tend to always pop decals over a lighter base. On to the last nail in this design, I'm going to take the blue navy and my striped liner brush, and we're going to just do some curves around the edges of the nail. This is one of my favourite looks to do with decals, either using one or two colours, just add a half curve up at the cuticle area, and then on the opposite end do the same at the tip of the nail but with the curve on the other side. I feel as though it's a really easy way to frame water decals if you want to pop them down in the centre of the nail. It just adds a little something extra to the design, but it's really, really easy to do. So I'm going to just do this. As you can see, super simple. I'm letting the striped liner brush do a lot of the work for me, and I did only do one coat of this. Blue navy has a semi-transparent look to it, kind of a little bit like a jelly look, and I really liked how one coat of that looked over coconut. So on this now, we're going to be applying the Banner water decals, and I wanted to show you guys how I deal with water decals if they're coming off the edge of the nail. So we've cut our water decal out, same as before, as close to that image as possible. Then we're applying our water to the back of it, giving that a good press down and then peeling off the backing paper. And then as we press this down, you're going to see that there's going to be some overhang on both sides of the nail. So what I like to do is press it down and then come in with my silicone tool and really smooth out the areas that are on the nail plate. So just making sure that that's fully applied. Then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut as close to the nail as possible. If this is tricky because of the skin, then you don't have to go as close as what I have done here. But then I'm going to take my angled nail art brush and a little bit of acetone, and this is going to melt away the water decal at the very edges. Now, the reason this is so important is because if you top coat without doing this and you have your water decal hanging off the edge of the nail, it's going to pick, and you're going to pick at it, or your client's going to pick at it, or it's going to easily peel. And then what will happen is you'll be able to peel the water decal off and it'll pull the top coat off, or it will just break down the nail, which is obviously you don't want. So you want to make sure that you are getting off any overhang, even if you apply your water decal slightly away from the edge of the nail. That way you don't have to do all of this, but you just want to make sure that your top coat is able to fully seal in your water decal. So this is the easiest way I find to do it. Just cutting it as close as possible and then using some acetone to melt down that excess water decal. Then I will come in again with the silicone tool and just give it a little rub to make sure it has applied nicely. So this is what the nails look like now we've finished all of the nail art. I think they look super over the top, but super fun, and they were so much fun to do. So I always like to seal in my nail art with the No Wipe rubber top coat. I find that it smooths everything out and it just ensures that any nail art is going to last the length of time that your client is wearing the nails. So I'm just going to apply this to all 5 of those nails. The rubber top coat is slightly thicker, but it self-levels absolutely beautifully. You just need to bear in mind that because it's a little bit thicker, you don't want to apply it thickly. You still want to keep applying it fairly thin. As I mentioned at the start of the video, these water decals are already on sale. So as always, the Kiki London website is linked in the description box below. I think they are super fun and I would highly recommend them if you are celebrating the coronation. Do let me know in the comments below if you have any plans for coronation weekend. I live in London, so already there's lots of flags up and there's little things going on, but I don't actually know what I'm going to be doing myself, but I'm sure we will do something to celebrate. And also it's just fun to enjoy the bank holiday weekend and have an extra day off school for the kids and things like that. So I hope whatever you are doing, you have a fun time doing it. Once you have applied that top coat, I just pop that in to cure for 60 seconds as the rubber top coat does require a 60-second cure. And then look at the shine it leaves. I absolutely love it. So like I said, these were really fun to do. They might not be to everyone's taste, but I hope you all enjoyed watching. If you did, please do give the video a thumbs up and leave us a comment below. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, please do hit that subscription button, and I shall see you all again in next week's video. Have a wonderful weekend. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.